But all right, let's get going here, and we will start with what happened in New York City yesterday. This from the New York Post. Rifle touting New York City shooter critically injures 3, including cop, before turning gun on himself inside Blackstone and NFL headquarters. At least 1 police officer was shot at the scene and is in critical condition. Another civilian was shot and is also in critical condition, police said. Video of Fox says an NYPD officer was inside the lobby and the shooter walked in and shot him. And then you can see the image there of the shooter. Now, before we do anything else, so 1 police officer was killed. His name is Didral Islam. He was from the 47th precinct. From everything I've read and heard from some of his colleagues, he was an absolutely stand-up guy and decent human being, and he did not deserve to die yesterday. Now let's unpack some of, everything comes around to, there's always these issues, and then what do I always say? It's the narrative around the issues that in some sense matters more. Like there's the horrific murder of a police officer who did not deserve to die. Several other people shot, the general state of chaos in New York City when this happened and everything else. That's the important part. But in the internet world that we live in, the narrative part ends up being the more important part, because that's the part that's sticky, right? That's the part that then people start talking about and everything else. Now, of course, when these shootings happen, there's an immediate knee-jerk response where certain people, because they're so obsessed with the narrative, they start, you can feel it with people, if you're on the Twitter, you can feel it with people, like they kind of are waiting and hoping that it'll fit their narrative perfectly. So whatever skin color you want the person to be, or whatever religion you want them to be, so that it helps benefit your narrative. In this case, here is CNN twice within about a 50-second clip claiming that the shooter is possibly white. Can you put up the image of the shooter first one more time, Connor, so that we can just, everyone get this in your head. Does that look like a white person with the gun? Okay, blah, blah, blah. We'll have more on him in a second. But here's CNN doing what CNN does, which is completely fabricating stories as they break.
Scene showing you here, John's reporting that they do know what he looks like, male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses, in that building, isolated to, they believe, to various locations, including upper floors is where they're focused. What are you learning, Shimon? All right, so Brian, stay with us. The former deputy director of the FBI, Andy McCabe, is with us as well. And Andy, I just want to ask you talk about a 44-story building, as Brian is reporting. And what John Miller just said, there were a few things that really stood out there. Among them that they do know what he looks like, sunglasses, mustache, male, possibly white, and that they were all
possibly white, and they said it twice. Now, if they were not sure, where are they getting this information? And if they're not sure, why say possibly white? They say possibly white because they desperately, regardless of this person's motives, which we'll have more on in just a second, and why he perhaps did it, or what his psychological condition was, or anything else, they would prefer that the shooter be white, right? They don't want it to be a black shooter. We all understand all of this. It's why on any given day, when we can get the numbers, somebody give me the numbers, how many people were shot in Chicago this past weekend. When it's black people, particularly shooting black people, they really want to bury it. But even if it's black people shooting white people, they want to bury it, right? They want white people to be the bad guys and black people to be the good guys. It really is as simple as that. 16 were shot in Chicago over the weekend, 3 dead. Note you did not see that on CNN or virtually any mainstream media. Again, it does not fit the narrative. So it seems to me that in a case like this, where we're now in the internet age, where CNN is running as fast as it can to report the same way everyone online is running. Whoever told, what's her name, Erin Burnett, possibly white, whoever wrote that in her prompter to say it, possibly, find that person and fire them. They were not possibly white. They were black, and everyone was reporting that online already. So unless you are intentionally trying to confuse people, unless you are trying to push a narrative, fire somebody. Of course, nobody will be fired.